Hello, and welcome to the video. Today we are exploring the library at Charleon and learning a little bit about the history. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out the Patreon link down below. More about that at the end of the video. Speaking of comfy vibes. Ooh. That's a vibe. This music, though. I'm back, and I've brought Taleo and Raha with me. You were right about this ship, then. Hello. Raha, it's nice to see you again. I don't like this voice. It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Taleo. I've heard many a tale of your exploits. Ochka Sujika. It's been an age. Allow me to introduce Ochika Sunjika, Administrating Officer of the Students of Baldessian. He oversees the day-to-day business in the Annex. The Champions of Eorzea has featured prominently in Kryle and Graha's reports, so for me, this is akin to seeing a fabled hero come to life. It's an honor to make your acquaintance. So they do know about me. They do know. That customs bitch was she was big dogging. I was giving her the benefit of the doubt a little bit, like maybe she maybe not have done it. She just didn't know. They know who I am. Have I done any of Eureka? I have not, Dragon. I did get a goal met that we're going to do a day of Bozja. That was one of our sub-goals. So, this place is like a second home for the students. The Isle of Val served as our main headquarters, of course. We often had occasion to visit Charleon. Whether to make use of the city's research facilities, attend conferences, or procure supplies from distant shores. And the annex here was built to provide lodging for our members while we engage in such activities. Ever since our former headquarters, along with the Isle itself, vanished, the Annex has served as our base of operations. And yet, it feels so empty. With so many lost to us, our organization is a shell of its former self. Ejika Sunjika, Ojika's brother, is one of the major NPCs in the Eureka questlines. There we go! Okay, thank you, Kyo. The day will come when we see the students rise again. Meanwhile, I'm back there with my kicks and shorts. But first we must ensure that Telephoroi fall. Through the door to the left, there's a main hall where we can discuss our options moving forward. I'm having a really hard time not cat-jamming myself. Once everyone arrives, that is. We probably had time to rest before our discussions begin in earnest. I have a private quarters prepared for you in the Andron, so please, feel free to make yourself at home. The nap rooms! Perfect for an afternoon doze. Doze? Perfect for an afternoon doze! Oh, I didn't mean to give you the wrong impression. Chambers are quite well appointed, far from more so than the cheap roadside inn you may be less assured. But simply that we are often so busy with research or exhausted from journeys abroad, we would slip in the Andron to just steal a few weeks. And thus they became known amongst the students as nap rooms, even if so many naps might last well into the following morning. Say the word and I'll be happy to show you to your chamber. Hopefully the others won't be too long in coming. I'll wait for you all in the main hall. I'm gonna tell y'all, juggling this many voices is... my brain is having a hard time. Love how the game will constantly reference your other deeds. I know, it's so cool, and the problem is I'll never get to experience it. Because, I mean, I wasn't around for that long, so I'm pretty much just going with the story as it is. I'm not spending hundreds of hours grinding other things, so... I mean, maybe for next expansion I'll get to experience it.
Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
Bet. Keeping
it's
secrets?
Fine, Mariange. We're all here now. Let's get down to business then, shall we?
Oh, okay. Okay, Kyo. I know there's like, if you've done the role quests, they are mentioned, and if you, with Bozja and Eureka, cause I know I've missed a bunch of stuff for if you've done the other role quests.
Come what may, we must prevent the Thorneofroses plans from coming to fruition.
Thorneofroses.
At present, I see two paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it.
Yo, the bibliotheques, though? What a dorky-ass name. We are the bibliotheques. We want to write in books, not deal with modern affairs. Jesus.
And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois.
Oh, you hear the reverence. Louisois.
Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Recalcitrance? Damn, girl, showing off.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, he had simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldessian.
Do I now
Our
get to become a
organization
student?
was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over.
Is that King
Mysterious
Noumenon?
relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth. Compared to our more isolationist Sharlayan colleagues, we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown.
Man,
The
I need to get like a
request in question
tapestry of this
comes
map.
from one such acquaintance, Nadana, an alchemist residing in distant Thavnair.
Do we get to go there? Am I being baited?
Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal. In response to this threat, the satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The satrap of Radzat-Han? What? You can't just throw that at me and be like, oh yeah, the satrap of Radzat-Han. Yeah. Of course. So glad that Raha and Quile get to interact so much in this expansion. It's so good. I love both of them. The Sultans. Oh yeah. I understood what it was, like, with context clues, but just like it's like having a shotgun pointed at you, and instead of bullets, it was dumping fantasy words at you, like Tolkien.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition, one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts.
Yep, I realized that I now have a foot in my mouth. I looked over at chat, and it's apparently a Persian word. And now well, I'm just a down old dumb American. I don't know nothing about nothing that isn't burgers, apple pie, and baseball. Right? That's how Americans are?
'Tis possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
Oh, what weird. That's me.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Kral's lines of inquiry, then having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice.
But I just got here.
But the investigation in Sharlayan is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnairian one. Given...
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Shola.
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts.
Who would have thought? Another split storyline? Well,
you are indeed.
Last time I chose Alice and I saw a woman's face melt.
First, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Sharlayan. I should also like to steal the services of an Archon or two.
I mean, we are kind of overflowing
and
with them.
thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Ooh, a poll's a good idea, Roro.
Alice and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Oh, Kitty, thank you for resubscribing. Oh my gosh, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate it. We actually had a lot of 2-monthers this stream, I realize. Wow, that means that y'all have put up with me for a whole month and went, you know what? I'll give that boy more money. What?
Of course, the more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavnair.
I've already had my fill of you, Thancred. Let me hang out with other Scions, please.
Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavnair on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful.
Yes, I did say that Thancred filled me up in as many words. Sorry, I don't mean to swipe your man. Alright, we're going with Sharlayan because everyone was like, hey, go with Sharlayan. Oh, no. Oh, no. An unsettling change has come over Sharlayan, but together we'll divine the underlying cause of the Forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the councillors directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what, and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archival history. Rewind. Which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day, but now that I've had this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside Noumenon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. I almost said Numenor. And one more pick? Oh, I gotta see. Yo! That's what I'm talking about. Unorthodox pets. I love it. She's fine, you promise. She's doing a hard molting, growing new feathers. My directions are easy to follow, I hope. In case, you stand now before the doors of Noumenon, Sharlayan's greatest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of Noumenon extended deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Google Library pale in comparison to Noumenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. That's badass. Any citizen of Charlene is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Stola and Raha to investigate those. It's really... Okay, this is really cute, because not removing the Y for your Stola because she doesn't feel close enough, but removing the G for Graha because she does. I love this like little line of dialogue, because it shows so much of Kryle's character just right there. Meanwhile, Alice and Alfino will help me continue my search for the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here by the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlean history or foreign policy. If you task me to find and study the relevant publications, I promise you a working knowledge of these subjects will find it far easier to spot any sort of clues we're looking for. Let's be about it, shall we? I told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they found some promising tomes. Happy reading! Kryle and Raha spent a lot of time together. Yes, yes. Kryle was Graha's teacher and is the only person who removes this tribe's... Yeah, it is the only person. I didn't think of that, Valor. Boom, 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 boom. Isselwiss. Isselwiss. What did I say, Isselwiss? Oh, you are looking for a specific volume. Only Archons may check out forbidden tomes. If there's anything else you require, simply say the word. Thank you. Long, long ago, on an island in the Northern Sea, there lived a Rodigan man by the name of Noumenon. Noumenon was a student of astrology, and he divined the... For some reason, the One Piece rap is just coming into my head. It's just, Luffy on the ship setting out. Divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. Uh-oh, gotta go. So it was with it that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for the Imperial realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Noumenon's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash his vessel to pieces. With only a moment to spare, Noumenon wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abathia's spine. Refuge from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them. It was not long before disputes over the dwindling food supply led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Noumenon gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers and boarded the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed at a beach of an island, settled upon the very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time it became the city of Charlean we live in to this day. Noumenon's pretty great. Hey, Taleo, have you looked down yet? No. Oh god. Is it gonna give me vertigo? Oh no. Oh god. It's like when you open up OBS and it sees into itself onto infinity. That's terrifying. The void is comfy into man's streets. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliak in the Dravinian hinterlands, the Charlean colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the Aetherical Sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students, hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Charleans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what has become a flourishing town as a Charlean colony. The Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlean, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlean inhabitants have pressed for a name, but simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony, giving yet another name, Idleshire. Hey, I know that place! Funny about Nunecraft, who you just read about, you can actually see the arc it talked about in the peaks of the Garibania. Really? That's really cool, Fade. Wait, the first one wasn't relevant? Hey, I like the first one. Don't say it wasn't relevant. Wait, are these little magic see-through walkways? Why? Why would you do that? During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archon Noumenon, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement of an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war, and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of experience could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so, it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war, and with knowledge deliver the world. My beloved seekers of knowledge, if you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed the rest of your body as you should, I, too, once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra. I am forever 20 summers young. Yo, forever 20? Oh, God. Oh, some Star Trek troopers? Ooh, okay. I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19, or 23, or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Though mindful, healthy living, you will extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from biological, etheriological, and arcane viewpoint. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Yo, Red Kai Ranger, thank you for the follow. Was it the voice? Did the voice make you follow? How you doing? Something this dome above us to be a finite space. Yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's description of boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. So I saw an Ascian on the moon. Get good. There are few indeed who can explain, in satisfactory detail, why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologists of Alag who came the closest to understanding the laws which govern the starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. The Seawolf wrote again are from islands up in the northern empty, so we was taking them back to... Gotcha, Carter, thank you. Having read of their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past? Their positions continue to shift, almost imperceptibly, but measurably as we journey into the future. Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? Take my masterclass! It only costs $50 a semester. In the years which followed the founding of Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The large number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays in vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of nationwide vote. Thus was the Forum as we know it today conceived and created. Hope I enjoy Endwalker. I'm already doing it. What do you guys find? I heard about how the stars are moving apart from each other by this really, really drugged up sounding dude. Sorry, were you waiting long? Wanted to make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alfino and Cryo should be also along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mention the final day specifically, so I have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes. If they even... I've been talking too much today, y'all, apparently. Close to the ground. Sorry, close to the number, ground. How you doing? Thank you for following. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare, and share our discoveries as we make them. Would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate, plenty of comfortable places to read, and ready supplies of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside, but it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants about how things were. Seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alfino and I were to return to Sharlayan, we would not be allowed to cross the threshold. Hiya? Well, hiya to you too. How'd you find this little chat room? Raw, it's snowing. For some reason I was like, oh yeah, that's just like ambient, like pollen or something. I didn't even really think of it as snow. A harsh measure, indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. What of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Well, my situation is somewhat complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Isilburn, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Thavnir. Sharlayan is north enough that it snows here? Okay. The Alligans founded a city in the fertile land, and by ship brought the subjugated tribes of the Mikote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. Hey Maury, how you doing? This is a blushing kitty cat. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald has renamed the region Locus Amensis. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider the plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Sounds familiar? Van Darnus. Why can't I remember that name? It does sound familiar. Nail Van Darnus, that's why. Your sister showed the stream to you? Oh, well, Very sweet. Welcome on in. As the last child born of the Algan Eye, I was given over to the custody of the friends and students of Baldessian, who had me registered as a Charlian citizen. And I've even considered. Forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by the Archon Louisoix, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Charlians than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the title of Archon. This is exactly why we have such love for our country, why I wish it to remain a nation in which its citizens can be proud. Hear, hear. Another good reason to get to the bottom of the Forum's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Gonna wander off and go to bed, but I'll be watching my phone. Have a good night, Fane. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's been lovely. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Soleil. More company should be arriving any moment now. We've returned with our selections. Though I must say, the pickings were quite slim indeed. Mistress Cryle has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we'll be looking to research papers on umbral calamities, as well as articles written in prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days come from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events at Amarot firsthand, and I fear I may be overlooking critical details. Just use your friggin' Aether to read my brain. My thanks. Now where do we begin? First things first, what kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? The worst kind of phenomena you can imagine. Oh man, I love the dumbass response. It's so good. A complete destabilization of creation magics is more accurate for what I believe she's asking for. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. Quasar doesn't manifest in the past versions like the Warrior Light does. Yeah, doesn't she, like, isn't she more of like a understanding of the present, like can do emotions and stuff? That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. Gotta go work calls? Have a great night, dude. Thank you for stopping by. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? Alphino, you can answer this one. They say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. Ah, yes. The Amaratites spoke... Amaratines? Do you want to... Is that what we're sticking with? Amaratines? Spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems like each and every one of the catastrophes was precedented by an ominous noise. Eventually, it resounded all across the star. Not even an Amarot was spared. Erica was very specific towards being able to hear what people are trying to say to her, language stuff. Gotcha. Damn, Carter, I love having you in chat. You being able to, like, give me these answers is fantastic. So the ground was calling out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll just speak with one of the Noumenon's mammoths, and ask after any books which might mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiark. They knocked Dalamid from the sky. Wow, they really leaning into my Warrior Light, having some brain dabblage. They summoned Zodiark. Yes, with Olympus serving as his heart, so many give themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We don't know exactly how Zodiark brought salvation to the star. That's not Alphina's voice. only that his godlike will with the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Life sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls that they intended to render unto Zodiac, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed in the primal. Or might have, had Venat and her fellows, not manifested the opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telepharoi really mean when they say bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with the towers of theirs. Is forcing people to summon primals a kind of catalyst? Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by the unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech? A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction that they plan to unleash. But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let's return to our attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Stola, but this time we begin studying these research papers. Thanks for watching. It really is odd getting to explore this city that I've only heard about for expansion after expansion. And for me, I've just played through them straight, but for y'all, it must have been years of build-up. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe, and check out the Patreon down below. I'd like to thank my Patreon members John Best, Roro Lai, Sven Folger, and Rosalia Streaming Network. If you want to support the stream too, our $10 tier unlocks Community Night, where we hang out, watch some movies together, and maybe even play some dungeons. And, as always, have a lovely day.